Okay. So regardless of what it is that you're dealing with in the moment, um, because it's one thing or another, you know, at all times, because we're problem solvers. You know, we have things to either complete or to improve things, and or even just simply to enjoy ourselves. But you know, everything takes attention. You know, just even things like buying tickets and renting cars and everything else. There's a lot of extraneous work, even in enjoying yourself. You know, even on being on vacation. So the real vacation is to those things that you want to, you know, let rest for a couple of weeks and surrender and unwind from all that. The real vacation is actually confronting that in such a way that you're finally able to let it go. So that's what I would like to experiment with you, if you'd be, you know, so graceful as to open your reality to embrace the possibility that there is something magnificent. There's something beautiful or interesting, or let's just say something worthwhile enough to open my center to include everything, you know, so that I can examine and explore the infinite possibilities of consciousness and manifestation. And that's saying way too much. I just say this. Regardless of what you already know about me, and the ways that you can predict, you know, my future, as good as you might be at doing that, give a possibility to a mutual, simultaneous experience of miraculous transformation. Let's open to the possibility that if that happened for the other person right here, right now, we would say, wow.
Correct.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And so there's thousands of ways that we can justify holding ourselves back from that. All the things that we did to others that, wow. And all the things that others did to us that we weren't able to receive lovingly, that we weren't able to turn the other cheek and say, brother, sister, enemy, I love you. And regardless of what you do to me, I love you. I'm grateful that you're alive. And I'm honored, even if you're going to go to the act right now of killing me, you honor me by it being you that does it, because I'm sure we're the most amazing friends in eternity. So if we can separate ourselves a little bit from the story of our lives, the experience of what it is to identify so completely with a body that we don't know what we are except through the sensations of the body. So for who you are and the freedom that you're wishing for yourself, the choice that you're making to, regardless of anything, you're going to open and experience your authentic nature of whatever that is, aside from the human embodiment, you know, the one that comes in and gets condensed into, wow, all I can feel is this new body. And you're essentially trapped. But at the point that you've had a number of those epiphanies, a number of those returns home to, oh my God, wow, I really dove down deep in the mud that time. But I'm back, and you have an experience with somebody else where you're awakened, or with a being or an angelic presence on the other side. You know, you have an opening, you have an awakening, you have an experience, and then
The heart
largely,
opens.
when you come back, 99% of those you forget. You know, you've got no recall on the extent of your divine interactions in the world as it's already been. And the question that we're moving into is, if in fact the consciousness of the universe is one consciousness sent into trillions of fractals by, you know, a creation, you know, some consciousness condensing into vibrations and frequencies and elements becomes some creation. This. And now the consciousness is consistent with the characteristics and limitation of the creation, whatever it is. And then after experiencing the limitations of that construct, you know, that core foundation of the cellular memory going back through your ancestors, the state of minds and the presence and the words and actions of, you know, your parents, your brothers and sisters, your church, your school, your best friends, your worst enemies, all came together and created a story of you for you by things that were impactful on you in either a beautiful, loving way or in a traumatic, terrifying way, and or deeply betrayed, you know. Yeah. So, so what do you do? How do you most effectively process that so that it comes and then it goes, and there's bliss, and that comes and it's, oh my, and then it's bliss again. You know, it's a momentary experience of a shocking event, and then the shock wears off, and you're back to bliss. So what we've left out is the back to bliss. We've stayed in the shock.
Or in the alley. I'm in the
That,
alley.
yeah, the shock, the alley.
The alley.
Yeah, the
And like the shutdown, and you know what ends up happening in this state? Your heart feels closed. Everything feels closed, and you're cranky. You know, you're not like, you know, when you're getting the love and you're waking up
I
and
know exactly.
It's a,
But
I'm
let's not pretend that we're not in control of that. You know, because
absolutely. But I'm also going through now.
I don't.
The grief.
But
And
in the
grief.
emotion of it, you're over-identified
It's true.
to the experience, to the personality, to the sense of self. You're over-identified.
And to him.
You're not allowing your wisdom, your grace, your divine flow, your authenticity to participate in your fucking experience. Okay? You're not allowing, you're excluding every other essential truth, and you're not paying attention to the creator consciousness that permeates every atom in the universe, including every atom in your body, and that's at a state of universal creator consciousness, capable of manifesting an entire universe. And that's fully conscious in your body. So, and it's fully conscious in everything else. And so God consciousness, unrealized by the individuated God consciousness, is there and is real and is true and it's you. Nothing else but that is you. Everything else forms out of that and comes and goes. So the attention of the things that come and go here is what traps you, and where you lose all sense of self as to what's essentially true about you, that is in that experience an unconditional love and a grace and a gratitude and a graciousness to everyone else, where people can be at peace when they're with you. So instead of demanding that we stay the victim self that we've experienced ourselves to be and so identified ourselves as, let's feel that fully. And notice that even though we're feeling it fully, and it's so self-condemning, it's so self-judgmental, and but at the same time we notice that we're waking up despite being so damned, so goddamned. And so
yeah.
And then in the midst of your misery, of the impossibility of continuing to exist as this tragically limited consciousness, you know, it's okay, I'm done. I'm gonna die right now because this life isn't worth another second of my attention. That's somewhat freeing to contemplate that. In fact, wow, what a load that lifted off. And so what can you infer by that? If you continue to demand that your intellect, that part of you that is good at figuring things out, but really doesn't know what the truth of anything is natively and naturally. You know, you have to learn and figure and then be the one that's right. That's no existence that you should wish on your worst enemy. Come on. You know, joyful expression. Divine celebration. If we insist that the story of this life and that this life history be defining on who we can experience ourselves as eternally and universally, meaning we cannot experience our eternal and universal self, only an aspect of our consciousness so small that it, you know, takes ownership of the body and without knowing how to create, constantly tries to create or to stop creation. And it can't stop the creation and it can't initiate the creation because it's denying the divinity of its own essence. Which is weird, because if there was a Christ that opened up to, in that last moment where he shifted from, don't call me good, for there are none good except the Father which is in heaven, to, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So he went from being a holy man to opening up to experience, okay, God, what exactly are you? What is God consciousness? And you open up in every direction to feel it wherever it exists. And in order to do that, your consciousness has to expand throughout the universe and continue infinitely to try to find the bounds of what it is that you're trying to understand.
Say that again, because that's something very powerful. I want to hear that again. I need to, because what it's saying is open, find that link, find that space.
If creator consciousness permeates every centimeter of this universe, every atom of its creation, and is fully aware, without limitations, on its ability to manifest just through awe. That's your essence, to create through the expression of awe. And to have that experience with everything that you experience here. Because anything that holds form is operating upon an intention from, you could say, the divine creator, just whatever it is that was before this universe was, and as a result of whatever that was before the universe, there was something about that, what was before, that said, a new universe is just the right thing for this space and time. And here it is. Okay, now nothing in the universe could exist that wasn't part of that pre-universe consciousness. Which means there's nothing here except divine presence, disguised from knowing itself as that truth. However, there seems to be so many examples of individual lives where that was so beautifully transcended, that life was an experience of true peace for anyone that came in their presence. And not just peace, a clarity, a removal of all mental obstacles, all confusions, because the light of truth is so obvious. There's nothing on earth to revere more than the experience of your own self. Don't give your power away to a temporary manifestation created in a consciousness of right and wrong, good and evil, and you're the evil and I'm the good, from everyone to everybody else. So those options, looking at those options is the only options, and choosing from any of them is what keeps you fucked up here. You know, because nobody says, do I have to keep being me right now when I know that me isn't real? It's just a fabricated a mental mock-up of a personality of what it is to be a human man, raised in these circumstances by these other humans at this level of consciousness that demand that their belief in what's real and true is law to you. When they know for themselves that they don't know what, if God's even real or exists, you know, and what that could possibly be. I mean, there's not even a self-realization that if you want to know, all you have to do is ask and stay open to the receipt of what's instantly transmitted to you. So have a moment where you say, what is it? What is it that I really want? Is it that, do I want a slight improvement in my circumstances here, or I continue the role of this facade of largely, okay, survival mode with a degree of success where you kind of feel good about yourself most of the time. So,
Say that again. I want to hear that.
well, I'll say it. I'll say
No, I
something in a different way.
I like what you said.
I understand. That's why we're recording it, so you can
Good, I can hear
so
it.
you can hear it again. Because it's the free flow. It's the surrender into what is it? What is the divine truly? Is it just a word? Is it a description controlled by and understood only by those who deny within themselves that their own experience of the truth that would set them free, and that is their own divine self-realization as their ego, as their personality, as their body, the divine made whole, the universe in all of its points of view, present within the presence and experience of that being that open to all. And each of us control that process for ourselves. Because whatever it is that you consider yourself to be, that's you. And you consider yourself to be this, and you are. But instead of having considerations, which are basically mumblings and rumblings in your brain about, how could this be a little better? You know, what's possible for me in suffering less? You know, that's your goal. How do I suffer less? Please help me suffer less. Come on, can't you ask for better than that? I mean, can't you consider the possibility with all the beautiful spiritual experiences that you've had in your life that it's beyond your ability to choose moment by moment how beautifully at peace and free and is the experience of true love, of true unconditional love, experienced in every atom of your own body. You recognize that God consciousness that surrounds every atom of your body is, in fact, you. And what makes it feel like it's not you are things that happen organically and chemically and physiologically with a living being. So you gotta fine-tune what you pay attention to. Because if you wake up and you find yourself complaining about life and reality, then that's your alarm clock that says, fuck, I'm asleep again. And it's time for me to, when you realize you're asleep, when you realize you're trapped, how do you get out of it? Because you've been working your whole life to get out of it. Okay, so let's do the kind thing and finally admit that we're failures. You know, quit saying that we're going to do it, that we're going to get it done, that we're going to transcend, and we're going to be it. And just say, fuck, I was wrong.
Mm.
Okay? I didn't know how to be right in the experience of reality to where I treasured every second of my existence.
Mm.
That's what being right is. And other people having the same reaction to you as you had to yourself. So how much freedom, power, consciousness, grace, and love are you willing to open? And it's like a spigot. If it's open just a little and a drop comes out, the drop is not defining of you, it's defining of the opening. Okay? So you open more, and instead of a drip, you've got a dribble. And you open more, and instead of a dribble, you've got a flow. And you open more, and you've got a fountain that's overflowing. With what? With, as the suffering you that you are, that you've identified with, and you've trapped in every possible way that you could ever imagine, and said, fuck, she'll never get out of that. Let's see how she does it this time, because we've learned from all of those other lifetimes every way that she can trap herself, and we've doubled and tripled up on everything that she's weak on this time. And so she is not going to fucking wake up as an embodied goddess this time. Not this time. Not this time. She is done. Now, I'm not suggesting that was a real conversation, although it probably was. But let's say that it was only temporarily that bad, because having somebody supposedly opposing the divine awakening of another is just nuts. You know, because the more that you choose to open, the freer your reality becomes, not just for you, but for everybody surrounding you. And so they can't help but walk into your space and go, So that's what we're doing here, is we're opening. Okay? We're opening until the whole is complete in the singular one that we are. And how do you do that? You know, because it's easy to get lost in thought thinking, fuck yeah, I'm in, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Okay, here's what you do. You ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready though? She's ready to hear too. You see her? She's ready.
Yeah. But I don't want to snap out. So,
I'm ready. How to do it.
okay, here's how you do it. Your body's having sensations that are asking for your attention. And since it's kind of painful, you don't really want to give your attention there. So you're focusing your conscious and your awareness otherwise, while something is festering and rotting and just in trauma over here. And so here's what you do. You, to the best of your ability in the moment, you feel everything going on with you energetically, physiologically, and you just take in the experience of you in a holistic way, instead of a one wrong thing here, one good thing here, and just, but boom. Okay, so your body's embraced by an experience of yourself where the body's relatively insignificant compared to the expansion of your, or the self-awareness of your big beingness.
I love you.
So in that noticing of your big beingness right now, because you popped out, I felt you. Oh yeah, there it is.
Well, you know, it's like a small but mighty.
No, the big beingness that is not identified as the body. The body's just one of its expressions. And that is you. And so you are so brilliantly capable as that wholeness and fullness and just that eternal wisdom that you move through eternity with and that you fill the universe with. As that egoic consciousness of the body, you just do your best to feel what the body's yelling at you. And as soon as you open, you know, it kind of form fits, you know, you're kind of actually embracing it and holding it all. And now you begin to have an understanding for it. And it's harder and harder to hold on to because the more that you embrace it, the more that it's duplicated, and the more that it's duplicated, the more it ceases to exist. But you don't have to spend an hour on something. All you have to do is spend a second on it. And as soon as you feel it, you go, and you surrender into that embrace of what it is, being embraced by it and embracing it in return. And there's just, we have an understanding. We're connected. We're being real with each other. So at that moment, even if it's a worldwide problem that would take lifetimes to correct, as soon as you've, okay, I get it, okay, that's it. Your consciousness compared to the creator consciousness, you're not letting a fraction of 1% of what's real and true about you leak into your reality as you. Okay? So, presence precedes transformation. The body follows the being. Who and what are you being here? In other words, if you have infinite potential because you're a universally true being, then why are you being you? You know, if you popped out the full universal God creator consciousness and said, I wonder if I want to individuate on earth again. And okay, yeah, this one. And then you come in as that. And you stay conscious as that until everything comes into a harmonic resonance with grace. But it's you, your choice, how you come in. And then to have that be a continuous choice until that's how the body experiences itself as a motion of grace and wisdom and love, compassion, and just a wow of power that doesn't need to express itself by saying that everybody's wrong. Everybody's right in their wrongness. According to who and what they experience themselves to be, they're doing everything they can to be as good as they can. But each person's traumatized and fucked up in their own way. And so, but it doesn't matter. There's not a secret key. There's not, Even though there's millions of locks in you that say they take a secret key that's forever unavailable in order to unlock, and there's nothing you can do and you're trapped for forever. But that's just a joke. It's that there's nothing real about it. Unless you take your consciousness, stick it in that reality, and say, this is home. Okay? And I take that on as a primary aspect of how this body thinks, how this body feels, how this body expresses, how this body understands. You know? So let's take those big fucking idiotic belief systems and notice that wherever that belief system exists, oh, there's that God consciousness. Wow. And there's nothing, God consciousness is not separate from it in any degree, in any dimension, in any reality, in any space and time. Every creation exists because God consciousness is unconditional love, is present there as it. But there's some aspect of consciousness, that self that we identify as. I am David, you are Kira. Well, now it's different. Okay, what does now I'm David mean? It means that there's a role play that's been going on here, put together by a bunch of amateurs that didn't know the secret password to heaven, which was, God, I love it here. And you can call heaven in whenever you feel that about any place. That divine celebration of your noticing God in everything, beginning with yourself, beginning with your thoughts, your ideas, your beliefs, your skin, your muscles, your nerves, your bones, your brain, your blood. Wow, okay. We can't escape God in any of it. And so who is it that's having this discussion and considering it something else other than God consciousness? So in our experience of ourself as not that, we notice that is right there too, and has embraced it in every possible way. And as we notice that God is everywhere in everything that we experience for ourselves, if we just give ourselves permission to notice that truth in every trauma that, you know, when it pops up in us, we go, ah, as soon as you go, ah, oh God, okay, thanks. And then you just notice that permeation of God consciousness being recognized by the I am, this, recognizing the God consciousness in the physicality of the body, from the mind, or from the self-awareness to the noticing that in everything that's physically you is God presence, God consciousness, and the unconditional love and support and blessings eternally in every moment. Saying, the universe is ready when you choose to be free. That'd make a good painting, wouldn't it? Maybe that goes on there.
The universe is ready when you choose to be free.
Yeah.
The universe is ready when you choose to be free.
Yeah, the universe is ready,
Or-
waiting, and willing to celebrate the most magnificent thing that's ever occurred in the universe.
be free.
And that's
The
your
universe is
and that's
ready.
your homecoming into divine presence as divine presence. central opening. Yeah. The beginning of the free flow. Yeah, nice transition. Well done. Just watch and allow that eternal and universal presence of God in every atom of the universe to have its way with the body. Oh, okay, God, you're in charge. What would you do with this? Well, first of all, God, what would you do with my ego? I'm going to feel my ego. I'm going to feel myself as ego as much as I ever have. And then I'm going to notice the presence of God in everything that I feel. It's the creation of my ego. No. And as soon as you notice that purity of unconditional love, of God presence in everything that limits you, the limitations just come off. And you're more and more you. Because you didn't know who you were before. Each time you take a step up that stairway to heaven, you know, it's a new experience. It's a new level. And at the previous level of experience, you didn't know yourself comparatively. Because these are quantum steps where you're entering a whole new reality. And you just let it happen. That's the hard part. All you have to do is stop saying no. All you have to do is not stop it. So there's nothing to learn. There's nothing to practice. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to say. There's nothing to learn. It's return to our eternal, authentic nature in the experience and moment of now. Yes or no? And it's mostly difficult or impossible to say yes until you look at it for a really, really, really long time. And that absolute no softens the more you consider it, until it begins to change temperature and frequency and color, until it relaxes kind of from a cold, hard, surgical dart, merchant of death, to, you remember in Ghostbusters, the Marshmallow Man? To something that's so seemingly good-willed, you know. So what would make you good-willed, divinely good-willed to yourself is by giving yourself the gift of presence in your traumas, just for a moment, until you feel it fully and completely, and then notice God in where you can look and feel and experience in that trauma. There's God with you every step, 100%, a million times more present than you in that. And so you say, oh, so God is what you're saying is you got this? And then you can go, oh, this will be a lesser burden for me, and I'm willing for my circumstances to get better for me now. I'm no longer sabotaging my life. I'm no longer condemning myself to eternal damnation. I'm opening into saying, maybe I'll wake up. Maybe I'll end the story, fulfill the role, complete the lifetime intention, and have all that happen right now, right here. So I can put the end on the story of David, and then say, okay, now what? Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Best experienced for, ready for, and delightfully looking forward to as my next that step into awesome, you know, in your experience of others, in your experience of yourself, in your experience of, wow, the universe in such a way that you are in sync, or it's in sync with you. You don't know who's leading and who's following, but you know that you're dancing together as masters of that consciousness that moves, you know, so beautifully through space and time. Yeah. There's all you have to do. You don't have to heal yourself. You don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to wonder whether there's a chance or not this time that you're going to be able to heal and wake up and be whole and know. Truly know yourself. And so that can only be done by being infinitely right, eternally right, universally right, and a singular, individuated consciousness. That's impossible. There is no one point of view that controls the universe. The universe is universal. It's every point of view. That's what's real, that's what true is. Everything, every atom in the universe is what's true. But every atom in the universe is a creation that's temporal, temporary, might not even actually be any physical matter there. It might just be light or vibration or frequency, you know. But it wouldn't exist if the consciousness that gave space for there to be universal experience, it wouldn't exist except for that. So again, divorce yourself from the habitual identification as this life and the experiences that you have interacting with others here. This is like going to the movies. None of this is real. It's all pretend, all of it. I'm God pretending to be this rather uninteresting and pathetically disabled aspect of God, presence and consciousness. Well done, you know. But maybe it's not that fun to be awakened and free and in your power and creativity and where you love everyone and everyone loves you. Maybe that's not a nice thing to experience, you know. Otherwise, why isn't everybody doing it? Because if it's available for Buddha, if it's available for Christ, it's available for any divine being according to traditions ever experienced, you know, because, you know, the stories start someplace. They usually start with somebody having a full awakening and having reality shift in so many ways in response to that the people around them just saw a flash of light and a touch of grace and a love that they never felt before. And so they said, this is what we're following. Instead of going, wow, home. And, you know, we're here for everybody to awaken, universally, every aspect, beginning with you opening into and and saying, will I open universally to know what that is? Will I expand my awareness eternally so I remember what that is? Will I move all the way past the creation of the universe into that which in one way or another caused it to exist? Am I willing to experience myself as I was then, here and now? And when you go, even just considering whether you're going to say yes or no to it, begins the experience of it. And so you've given yourself a virus of freedom that's just going to kind of work through every aspect of your limitations and your damnations and your blocks and your lies and your truths and your definitions of who and what you are and what reality is and what everybody else is. All the stuff that's everything but a divine celebration of life by life. So let's not be right in hell. Let's be wrong in hell and allow the universal and the eternal and the divine and that which loves all unconditionally, even hell and everything in it. Because there's no place that you can't find God when you open your eyes to see. And in that, earth and your experience of yourself and others begin a back and forth dance that gets better. It's like playing tennis. But each hit of the ball and each return is just two people exploring how much more they can open in each moment. And in the experience of that opening, imagine some polarized thing grabbing at you, right? Got their claws in you, right? But you're not the body. And so it's got its claws in you only metaphorically, with that way of convincing you to limit yourself and to be a victim because something happened. And so that's now defining upon you as a consciousness. It's not just something that happened to the body and is gone and healed. No, somehow you're owning it and maintaining it in every moment and torturing yourself and limiting yourself needlessly because of it. And so, what do? Okay, it seems so overwhelming. There's so much to do. There's so much to do that it could never be done. Well, not by you, not by me. We're the ones that lost. We're the ones that failed. We couldn't figure it out here. We were just another example of collective human consciousness saying, live or die, man. Succeed or fail. So that's what everybody hands us as we're having impressions made upon us when we're born, growing. So the fact that it continues to define you and to define and regulate your experience of who and what you are, then it's something that you have to deal with.
Absolutely.
So each aspect you know, where you trap yourself with your reasons for doing things, your reasons why you're right, you know, that identity that's opposing the what is.
What a beautiful question. What is just what is. Okay.
And you're in opposition to it. How do you expect your experience of reality to be?
Exactly.
Okay, so just be open enough and aware enough that the same thing isn't happening everywhere at the same time. You know,
All at once.
what is it? What all the bad and all the good are happening at the same time, and what's bad is by your definition, what's good is by your definition. And so if you complain when you feel bad, then where does bad not happen to you? And don't be there. I mean, be where what you want is what's being willingly offered to you. How does that happen? Well, maybe it doesn't happen anywhere until you wake up enough to make other people feel like, wow, I love her, you know? So, can we open that much to be two people that when other people experience this, just their hearts open and they have a feeling of peace that's legitimate? Yeah. It's okay for peace to be you. And you for being the home and the host of peace. Not because you're fighting against war, because you are so you. Then nothing but peace can be around you. Because anything that's not at peace can't maintain the lie of their identity and the lie of their existence, because truth, eternal, dissolves the lies of the pretense, the lies of the identity, the lies of the words and definitions. You don't have to fix it. It will fix itself as soon as you allow yourself to notice. God is in everything that you experience as you. Or being done to you. And there you find your freedom. There you find the restoration and the remembrance and the transformation, the transmutation, the transcendent. Okay, wow, thank you. You know that. And that's okay. It's okay for you right now. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to decide if you're worthy. Nobody's worthy of it, and nobody's unworthy of it. Worthiness is not a consideration for waking up. Because everything is God. Everything is God consciousness. And when God is over-identified as a particular object or life form, and then as that damned divine consciousness within the embodiment of that dam, which is this living life form, then as the fact that even your confused consciousness is God consciousness being confused, and that if you look within that confusion, the solution is to say, wow, I fell into a state of confusion. Now it's time for me to say, I fucked up, I'm wrong, I'm no longer taking any action. My only action here is to surrender to noticing God in this fucked up life that I'm experiencing right here, right now. noticing God in all aspects of it. And in noticing that, then the imbalances and the confusions and the ideas and the philosophies and the rightness and the wrongness of everything that compresses you into stupidity, you know, finds its way to freedom, you know, as you notice God consciousness in everything that feels like a problem to you. Everything that you want to change, oh, there's God. Everything that you hate, oh, there's God.
That's a wonderful start. I like that. Right there. I do. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's really.
So this is my mission. This is, and for me to be doing anything else is just being asleep again.
Absolutely, that's when you're all.
Yeah. So my primary purpose is to do a session every day, so that I open and awaken at least for an hour or two a day.
Absolutely. It's good to remind yourself of what it is and you come back.
And if I do that every day, then there'll be a cumulative effect of me actually being more and more present, more and more real, more and more true, more and more someone that other people can't help but love.
My sense though is you're split right now.
Yeah, of
Very
course, but
split,
it
and
doesn't
that's-
matter.
Well, but that's some of this, you have to work that out.
No, I don't. All I have to do is feel it and let God, and notice that God's there, and everything with a billion different points of view, having an input in it from infinitely numbered polarized dimensions where things can be created in multiple dimensions simultaneously, so that you can't destroy it.
I'm a mama. But I love what you're saying. I do. I almost feel like I want to do more sessions. But I want to pause on this
It's okay.
because I feel like we've landed somewhere good.
Yeah.
Now is my practice. You understand? It's one thing
Of course I do.
It's the practice now.
Okay.
Oh, that's that hard. That's God too. Like it's.
Yeah,
I
just-
want to see if things
and
start to open up
so
for
it's
me
presence.
because I've been.
So it's presence, the last one there. You're being present, and in your presence, you're feeling everything because you're present. And in that feeling of things, and you feel the discomfort of what it is to be you, and then you notice God there, and that comfort comes back in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
So we'll leave it at that.
I love it, and when I want to recording because there's some things you landed on, I'm like, and it's just the vibration of your, of your softness. That's very nice. So it allows that softness to come forward, and I feel like that's what I've been noticing in myself with these uncomfortable feelings. The grief, I'm not so soft and quite rigid and like fight because I'm
Yeah.
fight with the feelings. So I'm
Yeah. So, but
You know.
let yourself feel.
Feel,
Let
I
yourself be sensual with your own self.
yeah. I just have to allow. I like just to practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Be sensual. Use your senses to feel what is. And in the feeling of what is, there's you can't help it. Just always notice God there. As soon as you feel the solidity, there's God there too.
Yeah.
And that as soon as you notice God in the solidity is no longer solid. It's moving, it's dissolving into the flow. And that's how easy it really is. feel it. Okay. There's God in the midst of my darkness, in the midst of my sins, in the midst of my condemnation of myself at my darkest.
Mm.
And there in the deepest, darkest, most nasty part of that, if I go there and I look there and I feel there, then there's God there too. And as soon as I notice God in my damnation, that's the end of the damnation. Everything just softens and then melts and then either flows as a stream or kind of dissipates like steam.
Mm. Mm.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you here. Good to see you here. Mm. What is this? Is this speaking?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm going to keep talking and see what comes up on my own.
It's beautiful.
But thank you. I thank you for opening it enough so that you could have, this much of an experience of what we had.
Totally. And you never know. Because, it opens and you stay, keep opening. Like, you said first it's a little dribble, and then there's a flow. And I think it might be nice, I think I would prefer the next session to lay down
Mm.
and close my eyes and turn off the lights and
Yeah, yeah,
look at
yeah,
you
that's
so that
what-
I can just take in.
That's what Lily did, and that's
Yeah.
what she found.
Yeah. This, so that would be great.
Well, there's one way for this to be easier, and that is when you look at the other person's eyes, instead of hitting the first pretense of identity, and the second one, and the third one, and the 10th one, and the 100th one, and the 1000th one. You just flow through all of that back to the source consciousness that's as source consciousness is looking through these eyes, and as you do that with self-awareness, all those hundreds and thousands of filters that try to define and judge and try to define instead of experience. Instead of living reality, write about it or read about it. There's reality right out the door. You want to read about a tree or you want to go hug it? It's a new day.
It's a new day. Feels good. I'm glad. It's good.
And I'm feeling good. It's a new life. New day. And I'm feeling good.
Yes, that's nice to know. Good, David. Thank you for, I'm grateful. Grateful, thank you for believing in me, seeing something in me.
There's,
Back then and
yeah, you have, we can create some beautiful things, you know, and so we do need to get beyond our habitual patterns and the limitations of our past personalities, because to be here, you have to participate with me in opening into your experiencing your wholeness, you know, because as I intend to do that for myself and as I experience that, I can't have other people constantly in my presence that are unwilling to be that and experience it themselves, because then that becomes an anchor of demanding that my consciousness be the consciousness of somebody that's lost, you know, to be in communication with that constantly.
My invitation, if you want to hear that, because I agree. Look, because I feel like you got to bring some part of you on.
Oh yeah, but this is, but doing this enough does 99% of the work, and we don't know what's going to be left and what's going to be fixed, and so this is what I'm doing.
And I'm on board with it.
Okay.
I'm on board with you.
Yeah, because I'm
on
not
board.
going to get distracted in other areas when I know that the miraculous is real and here and now.
Because I'm changing too.
Yeah, I
I
know.
get to be part of the journey. Wherever it takes me, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
who
I'm
cares?
open to who cares. I'm just here
Wherever
now.
I'm going to be, I'm going to be divinely present.
Exactly.
How about that?
And I mean, there's a reason I'm here. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to go along as much as I can. And so, of course.
And if you get stuck, we're going to do a session until you decide that you're done with being stuck and that you're free flow again.
Sure. I really am glad we did this today. I'm really glad I was like, because I needed it.
Yeah, I know.
needed to move
Me
it.
too.
Yeah, it was.
So, thanks for getting it done on a moment's notice.
Thanks for feeding me too.
Well, that was your bribe.
All right, I'm going into the office. I'm not wearing clothes, just FYI. Just,
Oh, that I will not care and not look.
Okay, great. That's what I, not here, not look cool.
Well, let's see, how are we doing on time now? An hour and 13 minutes. Pardon me?
I asked her if she wanted to
Oh.
and I want to say thanks for being really nice with Lily.
Hmm.
Thanks for loving me talking to.
Oh, it's not much more than being present and tolerating her, even though she irritates me when she barks.
But she doesn't bark that much.
She doesn't bark that much.
And she's pretty much cute the rest of the time. Good.
Okay.
But I
So
know, bark-
enjoy yourself. I'm gonna give this another 15 or 20 minutes.
J-Ma.
Okay. Thank you. There's not much point in saying something if you're saying it from a state of consciousness where you don't know. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's true. So quit trying to tell yourself or anybody else what's real and what's true until you know it within the experience and expression of yourself. And so I'm not saying anything other for myself than that I think I can do a pretty good job of being willing to say yes to knowing what's true, what's real. And yet, at the same time, that potential that I just said is absolutely there, and there's a willingness to implement that. But at the same time, who I've been before this moment has been so chaotic and uncertain it seems like I have 1,000,001 loose ends of things that were very important. I didn't pay attention to it all, and I just let things not be done. And on the one hand, that could probably be a positive attribute or attribute. Because if you truly experience yourself in a loving way, and you felt admiration and compassion for everybody that you see, then who are you being? You're being a more clear, a more real, a more beautiful version of yourself. It's a much clearer example of your actuality, of your authenticity than what you were before. So you didn't improve to that. You just simply let go of the stories of you that were made up. And what was left is the truth of you. Beyond the story is the actuality of an experience, of a presence and a consciousness that's wise and beautiful. So whenever you feel that sense where you want to be disappointed in yourself because of your circumstances, just feel that disappointment, feel those circumstances, and notice God in that disappointment, notice God in those circumstances, and then sit in it. Where everything that you feel that's uncomfortable, you feel God 100% there also. So as soon as you feel that discomfort, the discomfort starts changing because you notice God there in everything that pains you, in everything that's trying to dull your senses, everything that's trying to confuse your mind. You feel and notice and experience God there. God there in your every opposition. Experience God in the presence of every enemy. Pretty hard to be an enemy to God, and so if you experience your enemies as God, then why would you fight them? Which brings up the point: is it possible to love your enemies into a self-realization of their own divine truth, such that they can no longer be your enemy from their point of view? Kind of seems like it. I think you could. I think you should try it. To see God so clearly in the face of your enemy. That God can't help but wake up as them. And then God behaves appropriately. There's unconditional love and forgiveness for all, which includes you. So your enemy now loves you. The only possible downside to this is that you loved your enemy more than you loved yourself, and so you created for the enemy the experience that you've been yearning for your entire life. But there's hope. All you have to do is see God in the pathetic loser that couldn't even figure out how to go home to heaven, and just do the right thing and admit your wrongness, experience your failure, notice God in the failure, in the sorrow, in the regret, in the failure. If you fail, that's where you wake up. If you succeed, that's where you wake up, because you get just as limited by your successes as you do your failures, because you never challenge your successes. Everything that you do that made your life funner or more secure or more successful, you didn't want to stop doing that, no matter how much it trapped you. Because your body instincts for survival always gives preference to success and abundance. So what is there in you that forbids yourself abundance? What is there in you that forbids yourself abundance? Feel it. You have it's a heavy limitation, but notice God there. So notice yourself looking out of your own eyes right now. Notice what you see. And put your consciousness, your self-awareness in the sensations of your eyes. And you'll find that there's so much space behind your eyes that you never occupied before. It was like your well filled up with silt. But now you open and feel the depths of your existence. How trapped you really are in every way that you're trapped, that's you're opening up to experience that consciously now. And in that experience, well, I guess we'll wind up now.